Hi, I'm Melissa Panariti. I'm a partner here at Vision Consulting Albania, and in this video we are going to talk about digital nomads and their residency. So, first of all, what is a digital nomad? A digital nomad is considered a remote worker who works for a company located outside of Albania, but wants to work from here, from our beautiful country. Now, I'm not gonna delve into the reasons why you have chosen Albania, because if you're watching this video, you probably know why. But we are going to talk a bit about the law, about the legal procedures, and what do you need to fulfill in terms of requirements and conditions. So first of all, let's start by asking a very important question. Who is eligible to be a digital nomad in Albania? Technically everyone. There is no limitation on nationality or form of job or any other kind of limits. Actually, if you are a person who works remotely for any kind of job description or any company located anywhere in the world, you can be a digital nomad in Albania. So what are the requirements or the documents that you need in order to become a digital nomad here? First of all, the most important one is the contract. You need to either have an employment contract, so be classically an employee of a foreign company, or you can also be an external advisor or self-employed or freelancer, but it is important that you have a service agreement with the company or with your client. This agreement is important to fulfill some conditions. First of all, the agreement should state very precisely that you are allowed to work remotely. So your job description should be described in the contract, and it should also contain the permit to work from anywhere in the world. It is important that your contract specifies the terms, and here it's something important that the term needs to be minimum 1 year, or it can also be undefined. The contract should also state your salary. And for the digital nomad residency program in Albania, the minimum salary should be no less than $1,000 or €1,000 per month. You will also need to have this contract notarized. So here I'm going to stop a bit and dwell on this notarization requirement. So technically you should check where your company or your client is located. Wherever their legal seat is, that's where you need to also do the notarization. And after you notarize this contract, you will also need to do the legalization process or the apostille process. So the company contract should also bear an apostille stamp in order to be valid and to be used in Albania. The apostille stamp is a very important requirement which makes a foreign document valid in our country. You will also need to bring this contract in original when you travel here in Albania or before you apply and you start the procedures. A quick note on the legalization or the apostillation process. If you are wondering which one of those stamps you need to check the country, and I mean the country on which your service agreement is being notarized. For example, you will need to check whether your country is part of the Hague Convention, which is applicable for the apostille stamp, and if the country is not part of the Hague Convention, then you have the legalization stamp. For example, if your company is located in France, you will need the apostille stamp. If your company is located in Germany, you will need the legalization stamp. So always make sure to check the country and the applicable regime for the legalization or the apostille stamp. Another document that you will need will be a copy of your degree or professional certificate or diploma, any document that can prove that you are able to do your job. So it must be in accordance with your job description. We only need a scanned copy of this, so no need for notarization or legalization or any kind of other stamp. A very important document is the criminal record certificate. You will need this document to be issued not more than 6 months prior to your application in Albania. So it should be an updated and a fresh document, not an old one. Where will you need to get this one? We often get questions from our clients if this should be issued by their country of origin or if it should be issued by the country where they are currently living. Our advice is go for the country of origin. For example, if you are a US client, that is living for the moment in Portugal, you will need to get the criminal record certificate from the US, the one that the US clients usually call the FBI background check. So always go for the country of origin for this document. And remember please that this document is also needed to have the legalization stamp or the apostille stamp based on the country which issues it. You will need to submit a bank statement of 12 months prior to your application. It is important to show that you are having income and also that you have an active bank account. This bank account should also have a balance, and we suggest that the closing balance should be no less than $4,000 or 4,000 euro. This is to show that you will have sufficient financial means to support yourself while living in Albania. Another important document, and I would say this is the most important one, without this document you cannot even start the procedure, is the rent contract in Albania. So you will need, prior to the application, to secure for yourself a rent contract in Albania for an actual house or an apartment. Be very careful not to go with the Airbnb or a hotel reservation because it's very temporary, and based on our experience, the immigration police will not accept it. So go for a proper notarized rent contract, because notarization is really important here, and with a duration of minimum 1 year. So we talked about the main documents that you will need to go through the procedure of residency and visa for the digital nomad, but now I'm going to talk a bit about the steps of the process. First of all, you will need to check whether you are applicable to applying for a visa or if you are exempted from a visa in Albania. This is based on your passport. So basically, you will need to check if you will need to apply for a visa before coming to Albania and then apply for a residence permit. And in this case, it's a two-step process. Or if you are a national, for example, of the European Union, the Schengen area, the US, or some other countries like Australia that are exempted from visa, you will not need to apply for any visa. You will come directly to Albania and you will apply for the residence permit as a digital nomad. Our advice is to check the regime by checking the official website of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Albania. You will find your citizenship there and your visa regime, which is applicable to that citizenship. Technically, what is the process for obtaining the visa and residency? For the visa, you will need to start by applying to an official government portal called e-visa. You will have all the documents prepared, your lawyer will assist you in preparing them, and then your lawyer will submit all the documents online. You do not need to go to any Albanian embassy for the visa. You do not need to send your passport to any embassy because the visa is electronic, so the whole process is followed online. Your lawyer will take care of the process, your lawyer will answer any questions that the embassy will have, and in the end, when your visa is approved, you will receive it by email. The visa will have a barcode and you will just have to print it, or you can have it on your phone, and when you enter Albania, you can show it to our airport authorities and you can enter directly. No problems, no need for stamps on the passport. The process is very quick and very efficient because it's electronic. What about the timeline of the visa approval? In our experience, and as an average, is from 4 to 6 weeks. Now let's talk a bit about the residence permit process, which is a process done when you are in Albania. First of all, you need to follow with the residence process not later than 30 days from the date when you entered the country. This is very important because if the 30 days deadline is exceeded, you will probably receive a penalty from the immigration police. The process lasts about 2 months for the residence and is divided in some steps. First, the documents should all be translated into Albanian, notarized here, and they should be uploaded in a government site which is specific for the residence permit. The immigration police will check them, and if they have any questions, they will get back to your lawyer, usually by phone call or by email. And once they are satisfied and they accept all the documents, they will issue the provisional permit. The provisional permit is basically a valid residence permit for only 2 months. You may use it to open a bank account in Albania, you may travel with it because you are actually allowed to go in and out during the residency review process. and you will be able to be a temporary resident in Albania with this kind of permit. After 2 months, a unique code will be approved for you. It will be sort of a social security number. We call it the foreigner identification number. It's very unique. It will only be yours. And after this number is activated, you will need also to perform a registration at the civil register office where you live. Basically, this is the competent office for registration of birth, marriage, death, and residence for the neighborhood where you are living. Usually, as lawyers, we follow up with all the processes and steps that I mentioned. The last step will be for you to go to the immigration police just once, to take a photo and submit fingerprints in order to get your final residence permit. It's very similar to our national ID card, and it will be valid for the term for which you have applied. Now, for the term, I wanted to explain a bit how it works, because it is sort of based on the citizenship. So, for example, for US clients and for European Union citizens, the term may be, the initial residence permit term, may be up to 5 years. Other passports may have 1 year, may have 2 years. Usually the term is up to the discretion of the immigration police. If you have an initial residence permit of 1 year, please take in consideration that when you renew it, you will ask for 2, and then you are allowed to ask for another 2. And after 5 years of continuously living in Albania, you can apply for a permanent residence permit. After 5 years of living in Albania, you can even apply for a passport. One of the most frequently asked questions is whether you need to open a bank account in Albania. The answer is yes, you will need, and actually the immigration police will also ask for it. Our advice is to try to open a bank account in Albania after you receive the provisional residence permit. That's the moment when you are able to actually open a bank account here. And also you will need to transfer at least one of your salaries or one of your financial compensation to this bank account and show this as a proof of payment to the immigration police. You will need to do this just once, but it's a very important step of the process. The process may seem difficult and complex, but that's why we are here. If you have a professional lawyer that helps you through all the steps and guides you through this process, you will be more than fine and everything will go smoothly. So we are here to assist if you will have questions or if you will need our help. And let's close this video on a happy note. I'm talking about the tax exemption. As a digital nomad in Albania, you need to know that your income will not be taxed here. So enjoy your stay in Albania.